Good morning, everyone. My name is Jen O'Brien. I work at the University of Manchester, where I'm the academic lead of sustainability, teaching and learning. I'm so very sorry to not be there with you in person today. At the very last minute last week, I was asked to travel to launch a piece of green skills work that's going to be really exciting for the city. But unfortunately, it means I can't be there with you in person today. So I'm really sorry. And I'm hoping that Alison is still actually talking to me. But I do apologise. From the very outset, I should admit my absolute bias that I think the B Cup is ace. And I was privileged to work with Alison around the edges when she was first looking at how we could tackle this social, environmental, and economic issue that is disposable cup use across the university, but also across the city and arguably indeed beyond. We brought some students into the fold because, interestingly, at the same time, students had come to me expressing their concerns around disposable cup waste, again, across campus and into the university. So our users themselves were recognising the environmental challenge of disposable cups. And this is where, as I'm sure you're all very, very aware, sustainability often requires these difficult, critical decisions as we're thinking about the triple bottom line of people, profit, and planet, bringing together those social, economic, and environmental challenges, often leading to some difficult decisions that are rarely perfect in sustainability. We've all been in a situation where we just need a coffee and we might have to use a disposable cup. This is also where the B cup is a lot more flexible and accessible, but we'll come to that today. But we need to be realistic. And you have this great opportunity today to learn from people who've rolled out the B Cup really positively and in other ways in which they would do things slightly differently. So some great opportunities to learn from that experience. But where does it fit in? I was asked today to frame where the B Cup and disposable cup use fits into this bigger picture of sustainability. Now, I am partly mindful that I'm preaching to the choir when it comes to sustainability. And indeed, some of you may have seen this very slide before, which I have borrowed from Simon Dews in MCC's work and skills. So as many of you are familiar, Manchester has this ambition to become a zero carbon city by 2038 at the very latest, within a carbon budget that is science-based, actually set by colleagues at the Tyndall Centre. Now, we have had some great successes, particularly within the missions-based approach that we've been taking, but we're all very aware that we are very much not on track to achieve zero carbon. We are over our budget and we need to upscale our work and our urgency as quickly as possible to meet both the climatic and I'd also argue the biodiversity challenges that we are facing. If I may, I'd like to suggest to you that our climate is not changing, but it has changed. Let me just find the statistics. I was quite amazed by the fact that average temperatures in Manchester have increased by 0.75 degrees centigrade. And in 2022, we saw record temperatures of 40 degrees centigrade recorded during the heat wave for the first time. Rainfall has also changed. There's been a reduction of annual summer rainfall by between 10 to 25%, whereas winter rainfall has actually increased between 10 to 50% since 1961. So we know that our climate is changing because of our carbon, and our cups are a key part of that, in part due to scale. Now, this is where, because of that scale, GMCA, as I'm sure many of you are aware, have released their new environment plan last December at the Green Summit that takes this target-based approach, one target of which is around the circular economy and single-use items and recycling. Cups are significant there because in Manchester, now this stat varies slightly depending upon which source that you read, but somewhere in the region of 300,000 disposable cups are used every single day. And that then contributes to the 3.2 billion disposable cups that are used in the UK annually. So this is a mass scalar issue. It's also quite a key environmental one. And I was amazed when I started reading around the statistics of disposable cups. They do vary slightly. And of course, as many of you are more aware than I am, cups come in all shapes and sizes in different forms. To contain hot liquids, they have to have some level of plastics. The polyethylene that we use makes them really difficult to recycle in most cases. There's certainly a social angle. I'm not sure anyone is sure where and how you recycle vegware, for example, but very practically they're difficult. And some of the sources I read suggested that only around 1% of disposable cups, again, 300,000 of them, are actually recycled. The rest of them tend to end up in landfill, where either they are incinerated. You might be aware that Manchester has a real problem with its air pollution. So our air quality is so bad that somewhere in the region of 1,200 deaths every year are attributed to the air that we breathe, or they go into landfill. So there's a lot of interest at the moment around the role of plastics. There is a suggestion that by 2050, there'll be more plastic in the ocean than fish, but that is not microplastics. So microplastics are particles that are smaller than 5 millimeters. So as cups are going into landfill, they are breaking down, the plastic is leaching out, getting into the water supply. Equally, when you use a disposable cup, there is research by Patra et al. 2024 that suggests that those plastic cups are releasing somewhere in the region of 25,000 microplastic particles in each 15 minutes of use. I was also amazed to learn, and again, cups vary differently, but they have a significant carbon footprint, somewhere in the area of 10 to 30 grams per cup. Some sources actually suggested up to 60 or 70, depending upon the complexity of the cup. And each of them require in somewhere in the region of 0.58 litres of water to make. So each individual cup has this whacking carbon footprint. And of course, that is significant because of the scale. So 300,000 of them are used every day and thrown away across Manchester. But this is where I would argue to you that this is also a great opportunity. This is not just a cup. This is an opportunity for us to have massive amounts of impact. So this could be a 300,000 strong force for sustainability change. So that could be 300,000 people who are reducing their carbon footprint, reducing their release of microplastics, reducing demand on water and impact on air quality, whilst holding a statement of sustainability that is the B Cup. It's the low-hanging fruit that could catalyse broader sustainability change. And it almost then becomes, because what Manchester does, the world does tomorrow, this Trojan horse of sustainability as this behavioural change impacts on others through our mobile force that is the population of Manchester. Small actions do add up. I confess for me, this is also where we need a much more affordable and accessible sustainable transport system and an energy infrastructure that is smart and flexible and fit for a low carbon future. But small actions do add up because they empower and they inspire at the same time. So this is where by carrying that statement of sustainability, you're bringing others into the fold. And this for me is where this is not just a cup. It is a sustainable opportunity. And today you have this incredible experience to learn from people who have rolled it out in different settings. Again, we need to be realistic. We will always need some disposable cups. The B Cup might have to be delivered slightly differently in different settings, but you can have that discussion today. With massive thanks to our panel who've given up their time to share their experiences. So again, huge apologies for not being there today. The B Cup is ACE. Please see it as this massive sustainable opportunity. Thank you.